Welcome back to Multiversal Studios. Have you guys ever wondered why Seto Kaiba in the anime was a part of the final season of Yu-Gi-Oh called The Dawn of the Duel, especially since Seto Kaiba was never featured in the manga? Well, I have an idea, but first I had to reread the last section of the manga, which is called Millennium World, to ensure that this checks out. And I have to say, the last season of Yu-Gi-Oh is just the best, honestly. So many emotions trapped into one chapter. Now, the creators of the Yu-Gi-Oh anime made a decisive decision to stray away from the original source material and include Seto Kaiba as part of the plot. However, for this choice to work, they had to find a compelling reason for Seto Kaiba to be there, whilst also fitting Seto Kaiba's MO of not believing in ancient magic. Now, what the creators did is they added their own Bakura subplot, which didn't really make much sense. But I'm glad I can share this with you guys, because I've been wondering about this one ever since I was a child. So before we continue, let's hit that like and subscribe button, because we're so close to 10,000 subscribers, which will be a dream come true. In the anime, the evil spirit of the ring pays Seto Kaiba a visit. You see, Bakura has a boss monster called Deerbound, which allows the monster to steal the abilities of the monsters it destroys. So Bakura's plan was to defeat the Blue Eyes White Dragon in a duel and steal its White Lightning attack. So when he enters the memory world, he can use it against the Pharaoh, which he does against Obelisk. Now, the reason this bugs me is because you can tell this has been crudely added in to the anime to incorporate Seto Kaiba into the storyline, because the evil spirit of the ring has possessed Bakura ever since he was a child, and only now does he ever think about attempting to boost the power of Deerbound. Now, if we're going to incorporate something like this into the storyline, the better way to do this would be going back to the start of the anime and have Bakura compile the abilities of Deerbound without the audience realizing what he's doing. So then when he does finally duel Seto Kaiba and takes the power of Blue Eyes and leaves mid-duel, that seems more in character, as we would have seen him do that multiple times in the past. You see, Bakura isn't a side villain, he is the main villain, and he's been plotting his revenge on the Pharaoh right from the very start of the show. So when he challenges Seto Kaiba before entering the memory world, it felt like a last minute plan that he thought of, which doesn't make much sense with how Bakura operates. I mean, they had ample opportunities to foreshadow this in the earlier seasons. For example, Duelist Kingdom or even Battle City, where both Seto Kaiba and Bakura occupied the same space. If Bakura had tried to steal the power of the Blue Eyes back then, that would have been some great storytelling, as it would be a genius level of foreshadowing, almost like Bakura had been planning this right from the very start. But if they did it like this, Bakura wouldn't have the opportunity to invite Seto Kaiba into the memory world, which was their main focus, since they wanted Seto Kaiba involved. Can you see why the story falls apart once you add a bit of logic and good storytelling into the mix? Now, the main issue I have with Bakura's plan was never him stealing the power of the Blue Eyes, it was actually this moment.
I'll tell you what. Bring the Millennium Eye to Egypt, and I'll give you a little history lesson.
Sorry, but I don't have time to run halfway around the world chasing a fairy tale. I have a company to run, remember?
Why did he give Seto Kaiba the Millennium Eye and invite him to the memory world? Like, why? Well, in the show, Bakura used the power of Seto in order to revive the thief Bakura, since technically, because Seto Kaiba was invited by Bakura, he became a pawn piece for him, allowing Bakura to use Seto's power instead of Yugi. Bakura basically gambled on Seto Kaiba arriving at Egypt. He had no assurance that Seto Kaiba would actually appear. It was just a stroke of luck that Seto Kaiba decided to go, based on the visions he saw from the Millennium Eye. And yet again, I don't believe Bakura operates this way. Now, this plan in the end backfired on Bakura, as even though Yami Bakura was able to use Seto's energy for his own purposes, Seto was more detrimental to Bakura's downfall than he was in helping him. Not only did Seto's Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon stall Zork, he ended up using the Ring of Defense in order to protect Yugi and his friends until Atem could figure out his real name. Now, ultimately, the way the creators went about this seemed rushed and a cheap way to include Seto Kaiba, who was a fan favorite. Now, I feel like they could have done a much better job of smoothly transitioning Seto Kaiba into the storyline. Let me tell you how they could have done a better job, where it doesn't feel forced. I think the fact that Bakura wants to steal the power of the Blue Eyes is actually a great way to link Bakura and Seto Kaiba together. Now, this concept should be started earlier in the show. Maybe they could have had a moment in Battle City where Bakura tries a similar attempt with Atem's Slifer the Sky Dragon, trying to steal the Thunder Force attack with Deerbound. However, Yugi thwarts Deerbound and actually wins the duel with Slifer, and Bakura is unable to steal the power of a god. This not only foreshadows the moment with Seto, but it sets up a concept that has been Bakura's long-term plan. Now, after Bakura steals the power of the Blue Eyes, I don't think Bakura should be responsible for Seto Kaiba appearing in the memory world. They made it very clear that Yugioh and his friends entering the memory world was an unknown factor for Bakura, since they didn't follow the rules of the game. They weren't pawns, and any actions they took whilst in the memory world altered how the past was meant to go in the favour of Atem. Now, would Bakura want another unknown entity roaming around ancient Egypt who wasn't under his direct control? I don't think so, and Seto Kaiba would have been just that. So I want to erase that entire line from the story completely, and have Seto Kaiba join a different way. In the manga, the entire arc took place in the Domino Museum. Only in the anime do they have the stone tablet moved back to ancient Egypt. So maybe they should have kept the stone tablet in the museum, since not only does this follow the manga more accurately, but it also gives Seto Kaiba easy access to the stone tablet. Now, if the stone tablet was still in the Domino Museum, it would just be a limo journey for Seto Kaiba rather than a plane journey. But how would we narratively get Seto Kaiba at the Domino Museum without it being forced and cliche? Well, I think an anonymous invite to the Domino Museum sent by Shadi would be an appropriate way to do this. The note would say something along the lines of that if Seto Kaiba goes to the museum at a certain time, his true power will be revealed, or something that baits Kaiba. I mean, we have seen Shadi manipulate people in the past to get what he wants, like when he turned Tristan into a zombie and put Taya on the edge of a school building in order to bait out the pharaoh. So I'm sure he wouldn't struggle too much getting Kaiba to the museum, especially if it believes it would help the pharaoh. The last time Seto had gone to the museum, he received the Obelisk the Tormentor from Ishizu, so Kaiba would naturally go to the museum out of curiosity. Now, when he arrives, he would see Atem and his friends. Atem would hold up the 3 Egyptian god cards and leave to enter the memory world. The evil Bakura would follow as he had infiltrated the Millennium Puzzle, but Seto would also follow as his soul is linked to the ancient past. And considering Yugioh and his friends would have all the Millennium items, including the Millennium Rod, the Millennium Rod might activate and help Seto enter the new world. I think this storyline would make much more sense, since it would add Seto into the world as an unknown entity for evil Bakura, and I think this storyline would just be more interesting. Now, after the arc is over, Yugioh and his friends will travel to Egypt for Atem's final duel. However, a good way to get Seto involved in that as well in the anime would be the fact that Seto believes that he would be the final one to duel Atem, so he would fly them all out to Egypt thinking he was the one who deserved to duel Atem.
I'm gonna make this brief. I don't believe in all this ancient Egyptian nonsense, and I never did. But I deserve a shot against you.
You mean the pharaoh? It does make sense.
But Yugioh would be the chosen one, and even though this would annoy Seto, Seto would stay to see how Yugioh would defeat all 3 Egyptian god cards. What do you guys think about this? Also, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you like and subscribe for more videos. Until next time.